Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 14th day of August, 2023, Monday of the 19th week of the year, the 19th week in Ordinary Time, but also on this Monday, we honor the memory of St. Maximillian Kolbe, a conventual Franciscan who was arrested and imprisoned at Auschwitz during World War II, and who sacrificed his own life for the sake of a prisoner who was going to be starved to death, but who had family and children to take care of. And so he accepted the role of being a martyr to be able to save another one of the prisoners. He was also known for his veneration of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and by divine providence or coincidence or what have you, he was martyred on this day, the day before the celebration of the Assumption tomorrow, and then his remains, I guess, were cremated on the Assumption itself. And so, in the sadness and tragedy of the death camps during World War II, there were also signs of great abundance of generosity and gratitude and hope. So we honor Maximilian, we honor his efforts and his work, and all of those who continue to try to fight for justice in whatever ways to those who are oppressed and those who are downtrodden underfoot and put to the margins. On this day, there could be special readings for Maximilian, but the readings for today we continue with still now in Deuteronomy, as we're making our way through the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Again, Moses giving pep talks, to the people about what it means now to be a people of God ready to enter into the Promised Land. Deuteronomy comes, towards the end of the 40 years of wandering in the desert that the Israelites, unfortunately, were forced to do because of their own inability to recognize God as being the one who was trying to help them and not hurt them. And now, as they stand on the verge of entering into the Promised Land, Moses basically tells them again, to remember what kind of God and what this God asks of them, how to act in justice, how to be people who remember who and what they are as part of this relationship with God. And again, that no other God has ever done anything that the God who is now a part of Israel's life and who Israel is a part of this God's life has done for them. So again, this great recognition at times, again, of the importance of memory, because it is memory always that gives life, a memory that allows us to become grounded, even in times of despair and times that are difficult, because we remember, what it is that we have. We remember who it is that leads us in our lives. We remember what it is that makes us who and what we are called to be. Times of distress and times of tragedy and times of fear often eliminate those realities from our lives, and they can't, because if they do, then we do not become the people, again, that God has made us to be, and we turn into something else. In today's gospel, we have kind of another interesting sort of forgotten exchange about finances and funds and paying taxes. Generally, most of us know the tax that is leveled against Israel by the Roman government, and the question that's given to the Pharisees, by the Pharisees to Jesus, about whether or not it's legal to pay the tax to Caesar and Caesar's tax. And, again, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's, Jesus says. But in Matthew's gospel, there's also, and I think in the other synoptics too, there's also this exchange between some Pharisees and the apostles, or basically in Peter, who basically say, why is it that they do not pay the temple tax? So this is not a Roman tax. This was a tax that was levied upon all Jews to support the temple. Again, it's where the idea of collections for our church come from and things like that. But Jesus is not paying it, neither the apostles. And the question is, justly given, why do you not pay the tax? And Peter brings it to Jesus. And Jesus' response to that question is, who usually pays taxes in a kingdom? Is it the subjects or is it foreigners? Now, again, there may be evidence of this, but it's always very unclear whether or not this actually truly happened, where people who were citizens of a government never had to pay taxes, and it was only those who were foreigners within that government that had to pay taxes. An interesting idea to float, but for Jesus's point, it is the foreigners who do not, who pay the taxes, and the subjects do not. And Jesus is like, well, the temple, we are subjects of the temple, so we should not have to pay the taxes. So he makes an interesting kind of economical social justice point here. But then he goes on to say to Peter, it's like, go and fish, and you'll find a fish with a coin in its mouth, and pay that to the Pharisees who want, or the scribes who want the temple tax paid. And Peter does so, and it's done. sort of an interesting little kind of a thing where, those who are not part of the community have to be the ones who help the upkeep of the community, but those who are part of the community don't have to do anything, to kind of serve it in such a way. It's just an interesting sort of interlude in today's gospel, again, which sort of recognizes the fact that being a part of the life of God does come with some kinds of privileges and some kinds of things that, again, we are supposed to be free from. Is it a source then of pride or abuse or manipulation? Not so. But is it something that allows us, again, to recognize this relationship with God that Moses wanted the Israelites to remember, that from this relationship that we have with God, many wonderful things are possible. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.